Hey everybody, this is Patti Negri. Welcome to the witching hour. Yep, that hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. We do really have some children of the night magic for you today. We have the author of Tarot of the Vampires, the one and only Charles Harrington. Charles, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It is great. We were at the Vampire Ball in New Orleans and we got to hang out. You were doing readings and all sorts of amazing things there. And I'm so happy to have you on. So you're a reader yourself. You've been reading for years, right?
Yes, 25 years now.
And he's only 27.
Yeah, I know. I was an infant prodigy.
So how did this come about? Are you part of you see the vampire culture? How did you go into I want to talk about the cards and the book because they're amazing. But
absolutely. I have been obsessed with vampires ever since I was a little kid. Same thing with witches, of course. And when there's been a number of very good vampire theme in the past. And there was a lot of Carpathian vampire castles, shrouds, everybody's pale, good stuff. I really enjoy those decks. But something that I felt could be explored was modern vampire fiction, sort of paranormal romance, post Anne Rice, Laurel K. Hamilton side of vampires, True Blood, even Vampire Diaries, that kind of thing. And I attended at Pantheacon, a pagan conference here in California where I live, a talk given by the amazing late great Margot Adler, famous pagan author of Drawing Down the Moon and other excellent books. And she, like the quick version is, when her husband passed away unexpectedly, she, to cope with that, read in the course of about a few years, about 300 vampire novels. And she formed her working theory of the moral vampire. If you want to read about it, she does an amazing book called Vampires Are Us. But in it, she talks about how modern vampires, if you think about Louis from the Vampire Diaries, Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the characters from Vampire Diaries, they are powerful beings seeking to be moral. And that is our story as moderns. Powerful, but we're dangerous. We're dangerous to the earth. We're dangerous to people around us. And it's, so the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana of the Tarot work to tell the story of the modern vampire in the deck.
I think that's beautiful. So we happen to have a brand new deck right here.
It still has new deck smell.
It does. The upholstery is beautiful. So it opens up. It's a beautiful box. There's swords. There's all the right things. It's Codex of the Vampires right here. So tell us about the cover. Is there a story to that?
Yes. The deck contains a lot of fun references to some of my favorite vampires in modern fiction. That is actually, he's both old and new, inspired by Jonathan Rhys Meyers' performance as Dracula in the ABC show Dracula. In the deck, the references are fun little additions. If you don't need to know any of them to be able to read with the cards. If you're a tarot, you read with the cards the same way you read with any deck of tarot cards.
That is beautiful. And then opening the book, and there's another one right there.
There we go. There's my 10 of Pentacles. And I should note the amazing illustrator of the deck is Craig Marr, who's a fantastic artist. And I'm so thrilled that he was able to work on the project. He creates a lot of beautiful, diverse characters, both sensual and monstrous and kind of everything in between. And Craig did a fantastic job on it.
They're beautiful cards. They've got flowers on the back, a rose and lily, of course. And I guess we can go through some of the cards. Let's start off with the zero card.
Let's play. The Fool. Let's play. So that is, in modern vampire fiction, we always have the human who's intrigued by a dark stranger and enters into the magical world of the vampires. And in this card, we see, in the deck, you mentioned on the back, there's the two flowers. We have the roses, which represent passion and the immortals. And we have lilies, which represent innocence and mortals and vulnerability. So she has a lily at her feet. He has a rose, and she's thinking about entering into his world and taking that fool's leap.
Beautiful. And
there we have, we skipped past them. If you go back one, you're going to find the magician, the other direction.
I know. I think our magician friend moved.
Oh, so that's interesting. The actual magician, sits and playing with the deck, and he has banished the magician card. So let's go to the high priestess. Okay, in a lot of decks that aren't based on Kabbalah, I will see a lot of them still retain Kabbalah Kabbalistic imagery or esoteric imagery that the deck book or as a guidebook then doesn't explain. So we wanted to create unique things for the tarot vampires that tell the same story. So instead of the pillars of mercy and severity, we have two hearts in her hand, one burning with the fire of the sun and one like illuminated by the light of the moon. And she stands between worlds. So we wanted to use symbols that the people reading with the deck would not need to know other systems like astrology or Kabbalah to
Beautiful.
play with.
So, and you explained that we've lost the magician, but
He's out there between the worlds. And the Empress in the deck is Lilith, the mother of night creatures. And in some mythology, Lilith is the mother of vampires themselves. And so we have her sitting in front of her sacred tree, if you know some of the myths, and three of the night creatures, the serpents, the host, like ever so provocatively to keep it a PG deck, and the owl and the wolf, her sacred predators of the night.
they are so gorgeous. I'm sure everybody's not getting the complete depth and color and beauty of these, but they will if they can.
And then we have the Emperor. Sometimes in vampire fiction leadership, you take on a leadership role once your predecessor is dust. And so in the Emperor card, which is about seizing the reins and the power of law and rule, we have our vampire prince who is amidst the smoldering embers of his predecessor. And I also love Craig put this on the queen's orb, but in the crown jewels, there's that little cross representing Christ ruling over the earth. And in the Tarot of the Vampires, this is a controversial choice. In a lot of vampire decks, the Hierophant, which would be a pope figure, is represented as like a dark priest. And that has meanings of deceit and subterfuge that I didn't like. So instead, we're going with the idea that a lot of vampires retain their faith. And here we have the merciful virgin next to a church, the Latin above the door says all are welcome. And then the flowers at her feet, which are symbols of the Rider-Waite, Hierophant, the mixture of the roses and the lilies, so that we have the vampires and the mortals. Everybody's welcome. Cathedral.
That is
idea.
beautiful. Wow.
And then we have the lovers. So their relationship, the fool, we follow through some of the cards. And in this card, she has made a decision, which a lot of times, I don't know about you, Patti, I read the lovers as committing to a decision and committing to a path. And she has pricked her hand with the robes of vampires and she's offering her blood, which is a dubious premise. It's still early for her. She's still mortal.
This is so beautiful.
Okay. As a fan of New Orleans, you might recognize we wanted to play with the idea of, instead of a chariot, we don't really see people driving chariots today. Typically, we went with the New Orleans Mardi Gras float, and Craig created a beautiful float with vampire motif. And then right at the center, we have, based on the movie Dusk Till Dawn, Santanica Pandemonia, played by Selma Hayek, a character like her. It's not her, like her appearing. And instead of the black and white Sphinx, we have comedy and tragedy pulling her chariot forward.
That is beautiful. I really like how you put these together.
Oh, thank you. Okay, strength. This is one of my favorite strength cards ever. I think it's okay to say that. Craig did. Okay, sometimes when you're the writer of a deck, this might be, I don't know, if anyone's ever wanted to write a deck, sometimes you get an idea in your head, but you don't have the image to describe it. My editor had a wonderful response. So I was like, I have this idea. She's like, Craig is the illustrator. He will make it happen. He will figure out the visual language. And so this is the idea of the vampire's greatest enemy is their hunger, their need for blood that makes them so monstrous. So in this one, the hunger, the lion card of strength is symbolized as the blood desire within her that she is aching for. Her like nails are digging into the floor. And we had he did an amazing job like creating because to me, I don't know how you read strength, but to me, strength is like the struggle against the inner saboteur, like the part of me that like wants to be out of control. And I feel like, no, get it together, Harrington. So that's strength.
That's beautiful. And for all of you on audio or not watching this, you just have to get this deck because we're explaining them beautifully, but they're not like any other deck. They're just gorgeous.
There we go. I should have remembered that people are listening. And the Hermit, the lonely vampire, which is a very common motif. This one is a little bit inspired by maybe Stefan from Vampire Diaries, but he is up in the heights above the city with a gargoyle, which is reminiscent in the original Hunchback of Notre Dame film. the loneliness of the gargoyles before Disney made them into animated creatures. And then the vampires, the idea of vampires journals, I think Anne Rice
Mhm.
really made into a big part of the genre. And so he's writing about his experiences. And I apologize to anyone actually watching and seeing me go in and out of darkness. I do apologize.
It's a vampire deck.
Oh, yes. Darkness and
It's
light.
okay. It's darkness. We've had some technical difficulties. We've had a barking dog from hell, otherwise known as a dachshund. It's just what goes.
Yeah. There we go. The Wheel of Fortune in this deck, we wanted to just keep it very simple. There's the predator and the prey. Now, Patty, do you read reversals when you read tarot cards?
S- Not as often as I used to, but I do.
Oh, yeah. So if you do read with reversals, sometimes the wolf is on top, sometimes the bunny's on top. Sometimes when the card is upright, luck is on your side. You're the wolf. When the card is reversed, luck is not on your side. You're the bunny. Maybe it's a time to seek shelter.
Yeah.
Is the theory.
They're
So,
beautiful. All right, let's do a
thank
few
you.
more. Justice.
Justice. Okay. Vampires tend to be amoral, not immoral, but like amoral. They make their own rules. They don't really
Yes.
follow codes of society. So we didn't want to feature a vampire in Justice. So instead, we have the vampire hunter, and they are non-binary in the deck. We go into that the guidebook a little bit, but they are. There's always a scene in vampire hunter movies where they're having to learn how to do insane things like fight blindfolded, and the Justice card requires particular action to get the result that you want, and also to shut your eyes to the biases and what you want to see, what you want to have happen, and just be with what really is, what is truth in this moment. We thought that the vampire hunter sold that, and you see them again in the minor arcana
It is
and in the
beautiful.
majors.
Oh, hangman.
The hangman, yes. Okay, this card, it reminds me a lot. This card was actually designed before this came out, but Mike Flanagan's show Midnight Mass, that sort of wrinkly, pale, bald, winged vampire motif, which is, I think a lot of people like to make the ancient vampires look more animal, more bat-like. And so the hangman, also vampires sometimes take a break from the world. They withdraw from the world to contemplate eternity, probably. But in this deck, the hangman is represented as that more ancient vampire that is in repose and in a moment of silence and contemplation.
So pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Down.
Oh, okay. So now death okay. There's such a push-pull, I feel like, with tarot readers about whether death is an ending. No, it's a beginning, butterflies and cocoons. So in the vampire story, in the vampire genre, there is the idea of you have to die to be reborn as a
Yes.
vampire. And we wanted to illustrate that. So the fool from card 0 has made the decision, and her beautiful vampire love has bitten her, and he's above her lips is poised the drop of life-giving blood that is going to make her an immortal creature. And that in the background, everything's faded to black, kind of like on my screen, because all of her mortal senses are leaving her behind.
Oh,
There we
that.
go.
All right. Okay. Temperance.
Let's see temperance. Okay, temperance to me in the tarot is you have to take the middle road, middle path. Don't be too much. And vampires sometimes seek to curb their thirst. And in this deck, that manifests as the vampire alchemist who is mixing blood with the essence of lilies to try and work on that thirst. And if you see her in the card, she's a little thin and emaciated and unhealthy looking, but still striving. So, and then there's all the steam going on of like fire and water.
Is devil.
The devil. Okay, so the chains of the Rider-Waite Tarot have been replaced by the blood of the master vampire. Fun story about this card. I asked Craig, like, we've been making a lot of these cards. What do you feel is missing? It's like, we have all these like sexy, beautiful people. We need some like monsters. And so this card changed a lot to a more demonic, monstrous looking vampire. And he's eating our two main characters his blood so he can control them, which is one of the myths about vampires. Is the master can control anyone who drinks his blood.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Tower card.
The Tower card. Okay. You set up your great vampire pad. You got your minions. You got your crypt. It's all perfect. And then one night with a mob with pitchforks and torches, it's over. So this is like, to me, the Tower card is, get out. You still have a chance. You still have a moment. It's not over, but do get out.
Okay. Oh, a star.
Oh, the star. So this card, she gives me like an Eva Green kind of look.
Yes,
When I see
yeah.
her. She's got an Eva Green thing going on. Vampires, it's not all about blood and death and monsters and fighting. Sometimes vampires contemplate the beauty of the cosmos in a way the rest of us mere mortals can't. And we wanted to show that in the star.
Yeah, and beautiful. And I do believe that is true about vampires. It's really not about death and blood by any means. It's about beauty. Look at even what we do at the vampire balls and things.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So there are many cultures that have vampires, and we wanted to find a way to introduce that a little bit. And in Slavic mythology, there's the Rusalka, and the Rusalka are beautiful maidens who are in pools of water, beckoning young men to their deaths. And so the moon is the card of illusions in some ways. And so if you look at her above the surface, she's this gorgeous creature. But if you look below the surface, she's skeletal and withered and decomposing. And so it's the idea with the moon. And also the moon is a reflection in this card as opposed to being the sky. So the moon, we wanted to convey the idea of not everything is what it seems. Maybe be observant and also bring in that Slavic vampire lore.
I like it. Okay. Sun.
The sun. So in the sun, in a vampire deck, the sun would be very painful. So we wanted to show this one from the perspective of a mortal. There's that moment in a vampire movie when they it's almost over for them and they break free and they break out into the sunlight and they're saved. And so the sun card is like that to me. It's just, it's going to be all right. It's going to be fine, kiddo. And so we wanted to show this in the card. He's leaping out of the building and there's a vampire who's on fire clutching at him. A fair criticism of this choice on our part was it looks like the Tower card. And so if you're just reading with this casually and you don't look at the title, you might be like, oh, it's the Tower. So mea culpa.
So you have to pay attention. All right.
You should pay attention when you're reading tarot cards. Yeah. Okay. Judgment. So the narrative of the vampire. So the devil card is being slain in this one. We have the vampire, the hunter, the lover, all coming together. People like heeding their call, rising above what they've been before and taking this moment to transform. And we have the master vampire himself is exploding in fire in the card because it is a moment of transformation, awakening.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Almost there. The world. In the world, we see our vampiress. She was the mortal and the fool. And now she's holding the lily of mortality, rose of immortality, and she's balanced them. She is a balanced force. The moment is at sunset. It's between night and day. She has come all the way and become entirely her own creature. And that's like the world. You're up leveled and you are at a place of power. So anyway. It's beautiful. And that is for the major arcana, except for the lost one. Which is in
also the magician. Your magician snuck away with that one, and that's really fine. It's in that one, the lemniscate
here somewhere
that he's creating is made of blood. I have my deck. I'll see if I can take a look. So that's the majors, and then the minors each sort of have a full journey with how the vampires of that element. So the watery vampires are the artistic ones. The swords are the more lethal killer vampire kind of situation going on. And the wands are the vampires who are masters of blood magic. And the pentacles are the vampires who are we created a little fake government, the Eternal Order. I found here a magician. And here the lighting's not ideal, but he has opened a vein and his own blood is forming the lemniscate of magic in front of him. And that is what's going on there. So he's the master of that. I have a few more cards. There he is.
I cut the card and he just showed up. Magic.
That's because you're powerful. Magic, it works.
No,
TSW.
I just cut the card and there it was. So how did it I'm a tarot reader for a long time. These are so specific and they're going into the vampire culture and they're going into the modern. How hand in hand do you work with your artist? Was it like you had this idea, this is my story, this is my card, draw it? Or
yeah, it's funny. It is a wonderful collaboration. And I loved how it came about. But so the job as the author, I talked about like the author's like the scriptwriter and maybe the producer, but Craig, the artist, he's the casting director, the costumer, the lighting, the set designer. He does made all of those choices. And so what would happen is you have to, as the author, you write a description for the card, 2 vampires in a restaurant, sorry, two people in a restaurant. One is offering his wrists to the other. And then Craig would create 4 thumbnail drawings, rough images in black and white, 2 to 4, and depending on how many concepts he had. And then together we would decide on a concept for him to pursue. And then he would create that. And it was an amazing, so he is an absolute co-creator on the project. And what was fascinating for me, the writer, is that the artist is able to figure out how to tell the story that I'm trying to tell in this sort of portrait style, this tall portrait style, and frame everything. So the story's being told, the angles make sense, the lighting makes sense, and it works beautifully. And he also made some changes to what happened to the card. When I wrote the 2 of Cups that I was describing, we had the mortal male and his love, the female vampire. He's offering his wrist, and I think I wrote something about how he was confident and the vampire seemed nervous. Stupid idea. That's terrible. Craig quickly understood that no, what's happening in a 2 of Cups, the vulnerability needs to be the mortal who's offering his wrist. Looks a little terrified, if you can see him, and a little unsure, and she looks on. We wanted to convey that. So it is absolutely a lot of the decisions or choices in the deck are Craig. For example, another fun one. The 3 of Cups, you always have the 3 maidens with their cups. And we made that our Brides of Dracula homage. And the Brides of Dracula, in a lot of modern fiction, there's a way to tell them apart. In the first 1932, I think, Dracula, they all look the same. But sometimes there's a redhead, a brunette, a blonde. In this one, we wanted to make them all races because in modern vampire fiction, vampires are all races, all genders, sexualities, all of that. And so we wanted to convey that. And so they're wearing bridesmaids dresses. But I originally was trying to make it a reference to the Lost Boys. And so I said it over that theme park. And Craig was like, no, they're bridesmaids dresses. They're in front of a southern mansion. I'll try and get it to up here, a southern mansion. And there's a little nod to it here with the Ferris wheel. It's just like a good time. They're having a good time because the food's about to arrive. They're about to dine on some mortals. Yeah.
And the pictures are all, again, I'm looking through the book where there's your author, your story, but each one has the big version of the picture. So you could really look close when you're learning it. Like Knight of Wands, look at a little rock star vampire.
Rock out. Yeah. Llewellyn does an amazing job with their book. Okay. Patti, do you remember if I say the LWB as the little white book, that tarot decks used to all come with just like a tiny little pamphlet, has no information. And now they come with full color, giant size versions of the art. So you can really see the detail. And it's such a wonderful time to be alive as a tarot reader for that reason.
It is. So I highly recommend this and I'm excited to read this. Actually, I'm playing with this deck and I'm picky about my decks. I have a lot of decks, but they really, as with you, I'm sure they have to speak to you. They really, no matter how beautiful they are, but just going through this a little bit, I could see how I could really tune in to what this is doing. So, well, watch out, readers. I
think the modern theme deck should use whatever that theme is to help the reader tell the story. Sometimes you get a deck, I don't know, if it was a vampire, it's a vampire holding a sword because Page of Swords is holding a sword. It should really get into the theme. So in this case, it's the vampires turning into mist, which is what had happened on that card, just so that it's enhancing the experience for the reader and they can point to what's going on for the querents and communicate what the meaning of the card is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, completely. Because I really do. I want the pictures to tell a story in the decks that I use for my people who I'm reading who don't have to understand tarot or what it is. I need them to tell a story, and these really do. So how did you get into tarot in the first place? Was it just...
I was a weird kid in high school, and like all weird, I don't know if there's a few. I was a weird kid in high school, and I was really into them. And I would bring my cards like in my backpack, like to school every day, and read for people in the quad. And it stuck with me. It's my longest relationship, and it was the gateway to all sorts of other mystical things,
magical.
And I look back very fondly on those days of walking around. Deck of tarot cards.
Oh, it's beautiful. Again, you guys, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you. If you have anything coming up that somebody can come see you, get a signed copy or something. Well,
sure. Absolutely.
Get this beautiful deck of cards and book.
Whatever device you're using to hear this podcast, be it your computer, your phone, it has the power to get you this deck within 2 business days because Amazon has the deck. It's a great way to do it. You could ask your local metaphysical store to carry it. It's a great way to get more word out about the deck, but it's on Amazon for a low price and free shipping. So I don't grudge anyone for using that to get their tarot decks. And as far as following me, I'm so bad about being online, but I will say that on Twitter, or X, it's X
X.
now, I
Yes.
suppose. I refuse. I just refuse. If on X, I am at Tarot Quest, TAROTQUEST. And if you send me a message on there, I will give you a 1-card reading with the Tarot of the Vampires, so that you can get a
Beautiful.
taste. If you can get a taste of the decks.
That is so great. Hope to see you at a vampire ball. Hope to see you other places. You
Oh,
guys
yes.
check him out. Charles Harrington, like him, follow him, get the deck. So
Thank
thank
you
you
so much.
for Vampire Tarot Magic to the Witching Hour.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to get to talk to you again.
Ah.